Social media has ruined a lot of things, but most notably human relationships. Welcome back to the pod, guys. It's Tia. To my lovelies who are here every single week, welcome back. If you're new here, hey. I don't always sound like a news broadcaster, but I feel like the research part of my brain is going a little ham right now, so bear with me. I am not coming at this topic from a scientific angle entirely, mainly because I haven't had the time to do the research. But I do feel like my extremely analytical brain with my journalistic background is going to kind of come into this more. So that's just your little disclaimer here. I am not a psychologist. I am not a human sociology researcher. So just keep in mind this is based off of personal experience, not a lot of formal research. I've been thinking about this topic a lot, especially since I am in a season of life where I am single. Which, by the way, has been kind of fun. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's perfect and it's grand at all times, but I'm honestly kind of enjoying it. Kind of because of the crap I see my friends going through right now on dating apps and also in their face-to-face interactions with people. I love social media. Obviously, I'm a content creator. I've been a content creator since 2018, so this is not a hit against social media. This video is obviously being posted on social media also on top of that. So just so we know, just so we're clear, this is not a thing about anti-social media. I am anti-social media in some aspects, ironically, but we'll get into that in a completely different episode. I do think, though, that social media has played a huge role in why human interactions are so incredibly messed up nowadays. People don't know how to be good friends. Every single social issue is heavily exaggerated beyond where the focus actually needs to be when those come up. And then there's the whole thing of dating. So let's focus on that one. I was talking to one of my good friends from college in the last month, and we were talking about how we both don't really vibe with the idea of dating apps. He noted how when he was kind of looking over his buddy's shoulder of like when he's scrolling through and swiping through and things like that, that it felt like Instagram shopping for women from a guy's perspective. And I think honestly that's a really great take. I started thinking about like the female psychology end of it as well. Not again from a perfect psychological, sociological research standpoint, but the user experience and how that has affected me and other women in my life. Because obviously I can't speak to the male brain part. I don't have that. That is not a part of my life. But I know that in a general consensus, a lot of people have started to separate the humanity of a person that they're swiping past. They've separated that inadvertently, subconsciously, because we're trained on this, right? By user experiences. Hold on. My camera is unfocusing. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on. Wait. Please focus. Well, this is chaotic. I don't know if it's been in focus at all this whole time. My camera's been going in and out of focus this whole time, so if you are listening to this on Spotify, I do apologize if you heard that last bit of scuffle. The lens is like not doing her job, but where were we? Separating humanity from the experience of scrolling through people. It's kind of very Black Mirror if you think about it. I'm not super into Black Mirror, but I've seen aspects of the show. I know that there's some really like dystopian factors of how you view humanity in that show. But dare I say, we're already there? Okay, we are basically there. If you look at the way that dating, especially in heteronormative relationships, especially then how those work. First of all, you've got the red pill podcast guys feeding misinformation to men. And then you've got really hurt women also sometimes feeding some really strong, interesting narratives to women because nobody's going to therapy on either end. Now, here's the thing. I think we all have the right to have a microphone or whatever. You know, we should all speak our minds and whatnot. And I'm not saying anything less of anybody. I will say though, the red pill guys really do get on my nerves, but that's just how I feel personally because I've been negatively impacted by men who were impacted by their messaging. That's a thing. But when you put that all together and then there's this separation of like, okay, that's just a face I'm looking at and not a person because your brain doesn't register that crap the same way. That's a recipe for disaster. Let's just call it what it is. It's a recipe for disaster. I feel like that takes away from some of our human experience of being able to develop a real set of emotions for another human being. We have so much access to each other at all times, and I think it's beyond anything that we were originally supposed to have. Now, I think it's great that we are innovative creatures and we have so many ideas that we've put out into the universe, and I think that's so cool. Like, for example, the capacity that we have for me to be talking to somebody on the other end of the planet through a camera, through a platform, through the World Wide Web. I think that's amazing and that's incredible. And why are we all just scrollable little icons, little scrollable avatars, if you will, in the world of social media? Because really, your brain is not clocking that it's talking to a real person or that these are real interactions. I honestly, not to get too sidetracked, but I feel like that's increased our capacity for cheating. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know there is actual research done on this about how like emotional cheating has gone up like exponentially because of social media. That's a whole thing we'll get into in a different time. But yeah, not to get too far off track, but seriously, there's so many directions this conversation can go because of that. We have to have good boundaries with social media, and that sounds so cliche because we talk all the time to each other about like, I need to limit my screen time, I need to not doom scroll, etc., etc. But like, you have to figure out what that actually looks like for you, because not only is it affecting the way that you are interacting with other people, it's probably affecting how you interact with yourself, which then becomes the lens through which you interact with everyone else when other people are actually around. And I don't know, it's just so easy to get lost in this fake world of social media. Nothing that you see online is always real. That's just it. Even this, like, you guys are seeing one corner of my home. That this is the podcast room. That is all I'm gonna say. People don't know the actual layout of my house. People don't know how big my house is. You guys just know this as the podcast corner. And you know it's clean. You know that it's by a window. That's all you guys know. And you guys don't know the reality of my house. You don't know that there's like my entire workout set is literally over there on the floor, strewn all over the place because I did not clean it up. So social media is definitely fake. And with that in mind, we are deciding how people get to perceive us. And we've talked about this before, but dating apps really allow for us to do this really curated version of ourselves. Even if we don't mean to be deceptive, you know what I mean? We want to put our best face forward, our best look forward, because we are so visually based now more than ever as a generation and as a society. And everything is kind of face value at that point, which doesn't allow for that depth to develop. And so I obviously have friends who have gotten married to people they've met on dating apps, and they have beautiful, successful marriages and partnerships that are happening. And that's great. But you have to remember, it's going to take intentional work. Dating apps don't make people any more realistically accessible to you than like out in the wild dating. You still have to have that intentionality, and if not more intentionality when doing online dating. Especially if you don't know who you're literally talking to. If you have not met them yet, you don't have the same way of being able to vet a person's character, and your brain might not even be registering that you're talking to a real person. Hello. We have to be 10 times more conscious of how we interact with people online, because this is a reality that has been distorted and curated and created for our entertainment, not for always our growth or education, but whatever that algorithm is that we've built brick by brick, as we say, that's what's in front of us. Dating apps or social media or whatever else it is. And it's easy for us to then live in this little circle, this little bubble that we've curated, and not understand that that's a fabricated reality. I think we can have really good, successful human relationships, friendships, romantic pursuits, etc., but we have to get offline a little bit. And if we're gonna be online, we have to be conscious of the fact that it's an alternate reality. That's not real life. And we have to be really, really, I know this is gonna sound old person, but really wise about how we interact with people online and how we allow for those interactions to affect our daily offline lives. Anyways, all that being said, rant's over. Go touch some grass. Talk to real people. Social media is fake. I will see you guys again really soon. Bye.